Greetings and welcome to Kyber Academy. I'm your host Jordan, and we're here to provide you with quality information and guides to Star Wars Battlefront 2's various hero modes. Today, we'll be discussing blaster heroes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to make sure you see every new video we release. And be sure to leave a comment letting us know what you'd like to see covered in future videos. With that being said, let's get started. While Star Wars games present us with a unique opportunity to live out our inner fantasies of being a space wizard with a laser sword, sometimes you just can't beat a good old-fashioned blaster. On the surface, blaster heroes seem very simple to play, but there are actually a lot of factors to consider when selecting your character. In this video, we'll be breaking down defense, positioning, abilities, and a few extra tips to help you make the most of these characters. While lacking the ability to block attacks may make them more vulnerable than their saber-wielding counterparts, blaster heroes still have plenty of ways to defend themselves. Rolling may be slower than dashing, but it does have the added advantage of providing longer invulnerability frames. Depending on the character, one roll can avoid multiple lightsaber swings, draining stamina from the attacker and costing you nothing. When being attacked by a saber user, roll towards the attacker rather than away. Rolling backwards does little to help you, as the attacking character will be moving forward with each strike. Rolling through the swing towards the attacker allows the blaster user to reposition themselves behind the enemy, catching them off guard with a few well-placed shots to their backside. This requires the blaster hero to have high sensitivity controls, and can be repeated for as long as your opponents fall for it. To make the most out of your rolls, reload your weapon during the roll animation. This will save you the time of having to reload later, while allowing you to finish the roll with a full magazine. When facing another blaster hero, utilize cover as much as possible. This could be environmental cover, such as walls, shipping containers, and vehicles, or shield abilities such as Leia's squad shield or Iden's droid shield. You can even use other players for cover by standing behind a friendly saber user, or positioning yourself so that an enemy saber user is blocking their own teammate's line of sight. The latter example occurs more often against a disorganized team, and is pretty simple to pull off. Just be careful not to get too close, or you may find yourself quickly overwhelmed. Master Kenobi said it best: "The best defense is a swift and decisive offense." Blaster heroes can tear through an enemy health bar in seconds, and this truly is their greatest defense. Many players, especially lightsaber mains, underestimate the blaster heroes, often seeing them as easy prey. Show them the folly of their ways. Hold your ground, use a mix of abilities and rolls to catch them off guard, and shoot them in the face. Before they know it, you're off getting your next kill, and they're sitting there yelling at the screen about how there's no way Lando could ever beat Darth Vader. Blasters offer the ability to deal massive damage to your opponents, while keeping yourself far enough away to make retaliation difficult. While the minimum and maximum effective range of each weapon varies, it's your personal skill that will ultimately determine how much distance to keep between you and an enemy. I, for one, am not very good at sniping in this game, but I am good at reading my opponents. This leads me to favor the up-close glass cannon approach offered by characters such as Han and Leia. With these characters, I try to maintain a distance of anywhere between 10 and 30 meters away from my target. At this range, I can safely fire my blaster while keeping an eye on my immediate surroundings. Longer range characters, such as Finn or Phasma, play very well given lots of open space. If your enemies are a bit too close for comfort, there are several ways to create space between you and them. As mentioned earlier, rolling is a tool used for both defense and positioning, and can be used to create a bit of breathing room. Stuns, along with knockdown effects such as Han's shoulder charge and Chewie's charge slam, can briefly disable opponents, allowing you to make a quick escape or land enough shots to eliminate the threat. If you find yourself outnumbered or overwhelmed, you may consider carefully disengaging and regrouping with your team. If escape is impossible, try to take at least one opponent down with you by focusing all of your firepower on one enemy. Most blaster heroes have weapons with an alternate fire function or an ability that switches the weapon or changes the way that it fires for a short time. Some of these are more useful than others, but even underwhelming ones such as Iden's pulse cannon do have their uses. It's important to become familiar with these alternative weapons, but be careful not to rely on them too much, as they are not a replacement for your primary blaster, but rather a tool to round the character out. In episode 2, we briefly touched on stuns. This ability is available to far more blaster heroes than it is saber users. They include Chewie's Shock Grenade, Palpatine's Electrocute, Iden's Stun Droid, Lando's Disabler, and Phasma's First Order Sentry Droid. Stun effects leave the victim immobile for a brief time, allowing you to press an attack or flee to safety. Stuns are particularly lethal in the hands of a blaster user, as it allows you to unload against helpless opponents without breaking the effect. Keep in mind that most powers and all melee attacks will break the stun, so communicate to your team when you're about to use this power. Blaster heroes are at their most effective when in a group. Many of them, such as Finn, Chewie, and Captain Phasma, serve as a solid anchor to their team. Phasma's Sentry Droid acts as a line in the sand, providing your team with a physical and psychological advantage, as opponents are often so wary of getting stunned that they hesitate to act, giving you plenty of time to light them up while they decide whether or not to press an attack. Combine this with a Boba Fett harassing the enemy with concussion rockets, or Bosk's never-ending barrage of explosives, and your opponents will have a very difficult time even closing in on your team, let alone breaking through and actually defeating you. Even if you're not in direct communication with your team, many of your abilities can still be used to help them out. If you see an ally being overwhelmed, toss in a stun grenade to relieve some of the pressure. Or if there's a cluster of people fighting near an open ledge, many powers can be used to knock them right off. Look for opportunities to support your team whenever possible. A well-organized team utilizing a mix of lightsabers and blasters has a significant advantage against a team comprised only of lightsaber wielders. The mixed team presents a threat at both long and short range, while the lightsaber team is truly only effective at close range. Even having just one support gunner will massively improve your team's chances of winning. Elevation can give you a huge advantage, providing relative safety as well as a wide view of the battlefield. Characters with area attacks such as Bosk or Iden excel when attacking from the high ground. For proof of this, look no further than Boba Fett, who is both the most effective harasser and flanker in the game. His jetpack provides him with speed, mobility, and unparalleled escape potential. Just be sure to stay on the move, changing your position after every few attacks. Unsurprisingly, headshots from blasters deal massive damage. After testing a few different blasters, we have found the multiplier to be around 190%. It should go without saying that you should aim for the head whenever possible, especially against a disabled or unaware opponent. Headshots may not be as easy to land as body shots, but the increased damage is worth the extra effort, and it will improve your aim overall. Note that for whatever reason, Bosk's Relby V10 hipfire does not deal any additional damage when hitting an opponent's head, but the scoped fire does. As someone who mainly uses lightsaber heroes, there is nothing more satisfying than defeating an opponent by deflecting their blaster fire back at them. It really does make you feel like an all-powerful space wizard. Conversely, there's no worse feeling than having an opponent do the same to you. If an enemy is deflecting your attacks back at you or your team, stop firing for a moment and keep on the move to avoid being hit by your own blaster. Shooting in short controlled bursts should help prevent this problem. Just because you don't have a fancy laser sword doesn't make you a pushover. Every blaster hero has a basic melee attack to defend themselves at close range, and sometimes that one punch to the face is all it takes to finish your opponent. Unlike lightsaber users, blaster heroes do not have a stamina bar, so they can melee for days. Note that Boba Fett has a rather unique melee attack. His flamethrower will generally deal 100 points of damage, but from the right distance, this is doubled to 200 damage. This is higher than any melee attack in the game, making him just as dangerous up close as any lightsaber user. Now that you're more familiar with blaster mechanics, get out there and test them for yourself, and be sure to let us know in the comments which blaster hero is your favorite. In our next video, we'll be discussing team play fundamentals. This has been Jordan from Kyber Academy, and may the Force be with you.
Order.